what I'm about to say might ruffle some feathers. Sometimes we get too comfortable in our space. We get too comfortable in our programs. We get too comfortable in our ministries. But if we only focus on the teens that step into our church, then we're missing the majority of young people who never make it through the doors. The reality is, most of today's youth aren't showing up to church events. But that doesn't mean that they're not searching for meaning, belonging, and faith. The question I have for you guys is, are you willing? Are we willing to go beyond the four walls and meet them where they are?
This is what Catholic youth ministry looks like.
Exploring the 5 M's of ministry.
With Brandon Morel, also known as a symbol.
This is the 5 M's of youth ministry, what Catholic youth ministry looks like. And today we're talking about the mission territory. Luke 15:4 says, "What man among you, having 100 sheep and losing one of them, would not leave the 99 in the wilderness and go after the lost one until he finds it?" Matthew 5:14-16, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden." And John 20:21 says, "As the Father has sent me, I am sending you." If we think about these things, there's some really clear things, right? There's a really clear concepts about, okay, 99, 1, you got to go after them, right? Go into the wilderness and go after them. You're the light of the world, right? We got to go shine in the dark places. And as the Father is sending me, I'm sending you. So Jesus is sending you. He's sending you, youth minister. He's sending you, DRE. He's sending you, pastor. He's sending you, catechist. He's sending you, CYO program. He's sending you to go connect with new young people, to bring them to him. Pew Research Center says only 24% of Catholic teens attend Mass weekly. Now, this is all over, right? This might have some nuance depending on where you are in the country. Now, Common Sense Media says that 74% of Gen Z spend 4+ hours a day on social media. The Bronner research says that schools, sports teams, and community centers are now the primary places of social connection for youth. My theory is if we want to make an impact, we need to stop expecting the young people to come to us, and we got to start stepping into their world. I was first invited to a youth ministry when I was 16 years old. Now, I received my confirmation back in middle school. That's the way it worked here in the Archdiocese of New York. And my parents were not connected to faith. But I decided, my mom thought it was a better education, so she sent me to Catholic school. She sent me to St. Raymond's. And my junior year of high school, this little nun, Sister Mary Eileen, stepped into our world. She showed up with these flyers and was just like, "Hey, we're having this thing, you guys should come, blah, blah, blah." Now, at this time, I didn't know what youth group was. I didn't know what anything was happening with that. But I thought it was, hey, it's like a party. It's like a cool little thing. I can connect, chill with my friends, bring my girl, get free pizza. Cool, there's going to be a little spot, little hangout for us. And I, like many kids, just decided to go for the social aspect of things. But little by little, God worked on my heart. Little by little, I got introduced to things. Little by little, I remember the first time we prayed the Divine Mercy Chaplet and it was done in song. I remember the first time I saw everybody who grew up in youth ministry. You saw that classic Lifehouse skit, the one with Jesus and he saved people from their vices. Yeah, they did that on the stage at the parish. I remember being brought to retreats and feeling like completely disconnected. I'm like, hey, I'm not like these kids. But sister kept showing up. When I was a senior in high school, she showed up to my school play. She showed up when I was performing at a Battle of the Bands competition. When I was 18 and I was a hot mess and I was a little too old for youth group at this point, but she started inviting me to come help out and do all that thing. I had to do safe environment training. And again, I was still a hot mess. I was going to Mass, but I still had one foot in the church, one foot out. Sister Mary Eileen started showing up to my performances. Sister Mary Eileen were connected in all these other ways. And then there was also the St. Raymond Community Outreach Center, which they had all these different programs. There was a spoken word hip hop poetry thing. There was a DJ thing. There was a rap. They had all these little things, and I would go there after school. And there was this guy named Jive Poetic who trained us in that way, but also he showed up. I remember when my son was born, Jive came to the hospital. I say this because I am a product of people coming, people stepping out of the 4 walls, people getting out of their comfort zone, people making, even sometimes, I remember sister saying, like, bumping heads with the priest and the pastor because she went to go beyond and go after some kids. What if we all started looking at our young people like that? We started showing up at their baseball games. We started showing up at their basketball games. And maybe you personally can't do it. Maybe you start reaching out to the family or parents, or maybe you send the catechist, or maybe you talk, I don't know, but maybe there's a way that we can connect and start showing up in our young people's lives. I want to pause for a brief moment to let you know that this series was brought to you and it was produced by Kari Films. Kari Films is a Catholic media production company whose mission is to capture the beauty of the Catholic faith. They do this through capturing live events. They do this through podcasts, testimonials, music videos, and more. You can find out more about them in the description below. Now let's get back to it. You see, the majority of teens are not in the pews. If you want to go back to the data I just gave you, right? They're spending more time online and they're spending more time in community centers, at sporting events and all of that. But if we as a church are not present in that, then how can we be a part of the conversation? You see, Jesus didn't wait in the temple for people to come to him. He went to the streets. He went to the wells. He went to the homes of the sinners. The church calls us to be missionary disciples, which means going beyond our comfort zones. It's Evangelization, Pope Francis. And we got to build trust before we build attendance. Most young people need a relationship first before they step into a church building. A teen likely isn't going to walk by and go, oh, you know what? I should just go and walk in and go to mass randomly if there isn't somebody inviting them, coming with them. I've heard of youth ministry teams, and I'm proud of someone that I got to bring up, meeting kids at mass and going, hey, we're going to hang out at Dunkin' Donuts afterwards. Or I remember at one point we started doing a thing called Mob at McDonald's, and we would show up at McDonald's like, hey, invite a friend. It's a church, space that's not as, threatening to your friend that isn't. And then those kids later started showing up to youth group. You see, the schools, those are a mission territory that we've overlooked. Social media is like the streets of today. Sports teams are where friendships and faith collide. Hangout spots like the mall, parks, coffee shops, and more. A couple years ago, I was a part of this street festival that they would do for this church. And I won't name the parish that does it, but they asked me, I approached them because I noticed that, hey, there were a lot of young people that would come to this feast. And this festival would raise some funds for that parish. And they had different, devotionals going on. They would, process with the saint, and they had little prayers going on inside. But nobody was outside actually evangelizing the kids that just came to hang out with their friends. And I asked, can I just perform? You have stage, you have all these performances. Put me on the stage, I'm gonna rap, I'm gonna perform, and then we're gonna be around to pray and talk to kids before and after the event every night. What if we started engaging all of that? Outreach isn't about forcing faith on young people. It's about building relationships and being present in their daily lives. You got to start with friendships, not just an invite. Now, Sister Mary Eileen did show up with that flyer. Yes, and it did work. But I know of kids now that you can hand the flyer and that's not going to do anything. You got to keep showing up. Maybe you collaborate. Maybe the youth ministry and you're not connected to the DRE. Maybe you need to find a way that you guys can collaborate on a particular project, an art project, a social project, a service project, something to bring that all together. Maybe you can go volunteer at something local in your community and start being involved that way. Find ways that you can bridge the gaps. You can bridge events that feel familiar. Host things like basketball tournaments. We've done like 3-on-3 basketball tournaments, which we were able to go to the local public schools and put that out. But when we did that, then we were able to pray. And then some of those kids who were involved with just the tournament got involved in the local youth group. You see, teens specifically, because they have hope that's been shattered. They've been let down by so many people. If you look at the statistics, you'll see things about families broken, about, how they don't have trust in political figures. They don't have trust in our cops, in our judicial system. They don't have trust. And so they need adults that they can trust. You have to be consistent. You have to be present. They don't just trust people who show up once and then disappear. So we have to find ways to be consistent in school, sports, and community organizations. We don't need to water down the faith to reach young people. We need to meet them where they are and lead them towards Christ. So I'm gonna give y'all a little homework before I see you on the next one. I want you to start. Maybe you can talk Collaborate with your pastor, collaborate with people, start thinking, writing this down. Maybe you have a ministry team you can dialogue with this about. I want you to think, where do your teens in your community naturally gather? I know a couple months ago, I went to the mall and I noticed I was on the line at Crumble Cookie, and I was the only adult on that line. It was all teens. And I was like, man, I don't do ministry in this area. If I worked at the parish down the street, I would just come hang out by this Crumble Cookie. Where do teens hang out? Where do they naturally gather? How can you be more present in their daily lives? And what's one outreach idea that you can implement this month? And I want you to put it on the schedule, like Wednesdays at this time, Thursdays at this time. I don't know. Every 2 times a month at this. Oh, I'm going to go with, 2 of my volunteers. I don't know. You take that, you evaluate, and you do that. Because we want to see all people. We want to preach to all nations. We want to preach to all creatures that Jesus is Lord, that the sacraments are real, that life is found here. But they're not going to know if we don't go to them. This is the 5 M's of Ministry. I want to thank y'all for watching this. Make sure you head over to bethesymbol.com, sign up for the email list. You can find us. We start developing, the book, the materials. Go in, maybe possibly there's a way we can connect and do this kind of evaluation with you and your team. And hopefully you subscribe to this channel so you can see the next one. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Brandon Morell, also known as The Symbol, and I'm out of here. God bless. Peace.